Hi everyone, welcome to the Folsom Street Events Exhibitors Volunteer Training video. My name is Jeffrey Huang and I'm the Folsom Street Events board member in charge of exhibitors. My board associate is Juan Stone, and together Juan and I lead the exhibitors department at Up Your Alley and Folsom Street Fair. First of all, thank you for volunteering. Up Your Alley and Folsom Street Fair could not happen without you and hundreds of other volunteers who help with everything including setup and teardown, medical, security, hospitality, and more. Working together, we ensure the future of these amazing fairs and Folsom Street Events, an organization that donates hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to nonprofits and charities. During this video, I'm going to explain the duties of exhibitors volunteers. First, a quick summary, and then we'll go into a little more detail. In the morning before the fair begins, exhibitors volunteers are responsible for chalking the layout of booth spaces so exhibitors know where to set up. Morning volunteers also assist with checking in exhibitors as they arrive at the fairgrounds. After the fair begins, exhibitors volunteers are Folsom Street Events representatives and ensure that our exhibitors have a smooth and positive experience during the fair. During the late afternoon and early evening as the fair nears an end, exhibitors volunteers make sure our exhibitors shut down sales at the proper time so that way we can clear the fairgrounds quickly and efficiently. The sooner this happens, the sooner exhibitors can bring the vehicles back on the fairgrounds and pack up their booths. Once all exhibitors are off the fairgrounds, the exhibitors team helps with general fair breakdown. Now let's go into a little more detail on how to chalk the fairgrounds, since this is a super important duty of the morning volunteers. Here's an example of a portion of a fair map. The numbered squares represent booth spaces. Some exhibitors buy more than one booth space. All booth spaces are 10 feet by 10 feet square and are located in the street. Booth plots are 2 booth spaces across and can be 2 booth spaces long or more. Using spray chalk and a measuring tool, exhibitors volunteers mark each corner of the 10 foot by 10 foot square in the plot and write the booth number 6 inches high inside each booth space. An important rule: check twice, mark once. We want a clean fairground without any mistakes. Before the start of the fair, aside from chalking the fairgrounds, the exhibitors team is also responsible for checking in exhibitors as they arrive at the fairgrounds and assisting them in finding their booth, or booths if they purchased more than one. We will give each exhibitor a paper exhibitor's permit, which they must display somewhere in their booth. Remind them not to leave it in their car when they drive their vehicle off the fairgrounds. Speaking of which, all exhibitor vehicles must be off the fairgrounds by 9 a.m. Exhibitors can continue to set up their booths after 9 a.m., but their vehicles must be driven off the fairgrounds by that time. Exhibitors volunteers are responsible for giving exhibitors their 15-minute and 5-minute warnings. Report any exhibitors' vehicles left on the fairgrounds after 9 a.m. to me and Juan. During the fair, exhibitors volunteers serve as Folsom Street Events representatives to the exhibitors. Check in with exhibitors to ensure they're having a smooth and positive experience and communicate any concerns to me and Juan. Never interrupt a sale though. Also, watch out for theft and suspicious activity and report it to security if needed. Another issue exhibitors volunteers must keep an eye out for are unauthorized vendors. All sales must happen inside an official exhibitor's booth. Exhibitors cannot pass out flyers or brochures or sell outside of their immediate booth area. If you see this, please kindly direct them back to their booth space. If you see an unauthorized vendor, and this could be a food cart, somebody selling things out of their backpack, somebody roaming the fairgrounds trying to get signatures for a petition, or somebody passing out flyers for a nearby party, tell them they cannot conduct their business on the fairgrounds. If they do not stop, notify the exhibitors' leads and we will involve security if needed. As the fair nears the end, exhibitors volunteers will give exhibitors verbal notifications. All sales must stop once the fair ends. This is super important. This is so we can clear the streets as quickly as possible, which allows exhibitors to bring their vehicles back on the fairgrounds sooner. A popular question from exhibitors is, when can we bring our car back on the fairgrounds? And the answer to that question is, it all depends on how quickly we can clear the fairgrounds. We will let you know as soon as vehicles are allowed back on. Even after the fair is over, as long as the streets are still closed to traffic, continue to report unauthorized vendors. Keep an eye out for hot dog carts. They often try to sell to our fairgoers once the fair ends, and this prevents them from leaving the fairgrounds in a timely fashion. If they are within the fairgrounds, we must tell them to stop and escort them off the fairgrounds immediately. The security team can also help with this. After all exhibitors have packed up and are off the fairgrounds, exhibitors volunteers turn into breakdown volunteers and assist the other departments as assigned. We're a team, so nobody leaves until their shift is over or until we're all finished. And that's it. Again, thank you so much for volunteering, and email me and Juan if you have any questions. We'll see you at the fair.